Hello everyone, I'm Alan, also known as McLaren 2009, and today I'm going to show you the most recent ship I've built in Space Engineers. I've named this ship the Exploration because, let's be honest, I'm not exactly the most creative when it comes to naming things, and I was kind of out of ideas. But as it stands, this is the largest ship I have built to date. It contains not one, but two big hangar bays with three separate, hangars inside of each one, and also one massive bay at the bottom for, ideally, surface landing craft. This ship can successfully land on planets, but it took some work. As you can see, there are a few more thrusters on here than some people would agree are sane or reasonable. Now let's go on the inside. We're going to go in down here because it's a little bit easier. Sorry, it's been a little while. I haven't played this game for a minute. Now here we are in our nice, spacious ground hangar bay. This ramp actually successfully goes down to about the same level as the landing gear. Cut away a few inserts just for the hydrogen thrusters to make sure this thing can fly. Because, as luck would have it, I made the ship a little too big. Now let's go inside. Back here is mainly just some hydrogen storage. Nothing too fancy. I'm actually slowly learning how to properly build an interior. I would really love to know why all of those seem to be off. Stairwells that basically go up both sides of the ship towards the back. These go all the way from the bottom to the top of the ship. However, there are a couple smaller passageways in between, though they're a little bit harder to find. Now, if I remember correctly, this should be the engineering level, where all of the machinery is. As you can see, slightly higher ceiling. Go down here, and this leads down to more thrusters, pretty much. Go through another airlock, and you go out into space. Well, sort of. Unfortunately, I kind of had to mirror the entire ship all the way around. So both sides are exactly identical. To the point that it's almost kind of sad. Here we have kind of an emergency power. This is towards the back of the ship. So this is more or less where my, like, basically CIC, or alternate cockpit, is. And here is one of the gravity generators. There should be two. Can't for the life of me remember where the other one is, but I'm sure it'll show up. Here we have a secondary control room. I included the timer and computer necessary to do the script for the automated LCDs, but I actually never got around to programming it. Unfortunately, there's also the remote control block. As you've undoubtedly noticed, there are turrets protecting every major defensible part of the ship. Now we're going to go forward. There are 4 refineries. Unfortunately, there aren't really any modules on it. Here is one of the cargo bays. And this is one of the ways up to the next level. We're not quite going to go up there just yet. Alright, let's start by going up here. This is the actual main engine room. Unfortunately, I didn't really know a whole lot about the game itself, so I did not realize that this entire ship can be powered by quite literally 2 of these reactors with no problems. But nevertheless, there are a lot of reactors and a lot of hydrogen storage, which kind of makes sense considering you're pretty much going to be using exclusively hydrogen if you actually want to leave the planet's surface. Which means this would not be a very practical ship, but it does still look pretty cool. Sticking true with its namesake throughout the entire time I've been playing this game, this ship was kind of where I started piecing together some different ideas on how I want to build, and then I ended up keeping it because it turned out good. This is the actual main bridge. It's actually on the underside of the ship because that ramp down there, it's meant to be unloaded on the planet's surface. So I wanted you to be able to have most of your vision towards the bottom. Kind of an oddly placed door, but it actually comes in handy. It allows the bridge to look somewhat presentable, gives you a nice range of, like, field of view, and you can get out of the ship easily if you so desired. And the little windows in the floor are kind of cool because you can watch things as they get loaded and unloaded. Now that's probably enough on this floor because you've seen about all there is. There's also a room with assemblers and oxygen generators. And I went too far. Alright, now we're going to go back into one of our main ladder wells. And we're going to go up to the next floor. And here we are on another production level with a slightly lower ceiling. This right here is one of the doors out into the hangar bay. Or more, these are the air hangars. They're all designed to accommodate fairly large aircraft, including properly piped up ways of loading and unloading resources. Now once again, this is the back of the ship. Here is a lot of the oxygen storage. Oxygen generators. Either that or arc furnaces. Sadly, I can't remember the difference anymore. And more oxygen storage. These rooms marked with the blue lights are the med bays. They have, well, a med bay and a cryo chamber. They also have a ladder going up to the next floor. Once again, more oxygen storage. All the rooms are outfitted with ventilation. It actually took me a little bit of a long time to do that. As you can see, the piping and ductwork was kind of an afterthought. There are a couple of rooms, much like this one, that are completely blank. They have nothing in them because the ship has room to be expanded and modified as new content and features are developed for the game. Here we're back at the door we originally seen, in the hallway with the med bays. This should go back out to the hangar. Here are where all the assemblers are. There are 2 rooms that look like this, fitted with productivity and power efficiency modules. Oh, there's the arc furnaces. Everything is properly piped up and connected. However, for some reason it does not look like the ventilation system is functioning, or at least not the way that it's supposed to. There are 2 rooms like this that contain a bulk of the gyroscopes. There aren't, like, very many, or not as many as you would think a ship of this size would need. However, the ship can still move pretty well. Here is one of my battery rooms. And this leads down to that bay leading towards the actual engine room. I actually designed and built this ship while I myself was assigned to a real ship. Here are more gyroscopes. And another stairwell going up to the floor above us. Now we'll go back to the ladder towards the back of the ship. And we'll continue climbing up. All of these different compartments serve to make sure that the ship can stay pressurized. And also the winding passages make it a little bit more interesting to get around. As I came to the realization that all of my ships come out as kind of flying bricks. I was trying to change that by adding a little bit of variation to the interior. Now, up here on the 3rd level, we're now on the crew level. More empty rooms. They can be filled with anything of your choice. This leads down to the med bays. There's a similar passageway on both sides of the ship. We'll start by going down the center, and then we'll work our way back. In here we have what was intended as like a lounge or break room area. Unfortunately, there aren't too much in the way of furniture in the game, so that's kind of what we have to deal with. That is, of course, without adding mods. I do like using mods, however, I don't use them in the things that I share with people. Go through this door, and we're back in one of the main passageways. This will be the lower area for, like, enlisted type personnel. The rooms are smaller and don't really have a whole lot in them. You look inside, they have a cryo chamber, storage container, and a vent. Also a seat. Pretty much all the rooms on this floor look, if not exactly like that, pretty close. You go up there to the more, I guess, elaborate rooms geared towards officers and more senior personnel. There's a passageway to the other side of this wall, which is the exact same corridor mirrored over there. Now you go out here. This area is that fairly general purpose room we've seen earlier where the gyroscopes are. However, we go a little bit farther down, and you have one of our jump drive rooms. You go over here, and you have one of the few rooms that actually looks out from the walls of the ship. Not much of a view at the moment, but it gives you something. You can come down this hallway, and you have similar rooms as the other side, just set up a little bit different and a little bit more compact. It's a bit harder to modify those. Then this, actually it's kind of amazing I didn't see one of these earlier. These are one of the observation platforms for the hangar bay. Including observation for the outside of the ship. Like I said, I was recently on a ship, and I tried to make this as close to something that could be functional in the same capacity as a similar real-life counterpart. There's the other passageway, exactly mirrored on the other side. Now we go back out here, and we're going to go back up to the next level. As you'll notice, the floors are getting a little bit smaller up here. This is one of the catwalks or observation levels for the whole ship. Slightly protected by a little bit of an armor belt, but it's not going to do much if you actually start getting shot at. But luckily, all of the rooms up here contain an airlock in and of themselves, so in the event that this window is breached, the rest of it is still fairly protected. Now, this is back into the elevator, or not the elevator, but the stairwell where we began. Both doors, I think. Yeah. Alright, that was weird. In the future, I need a little bit more variation with my color scheme. This right here goes out to probably the biggest and most unnecessary airlock ever. This goes out onto the back of the ship. And clearly I missed a spot when I colored it. Oh well. You go out here, and you have one way to exit the ship. As you can see, that goes down both ways. Now, unlike the floor below, where there are two different hallways with the various rooms in them, these only have one hallway. There are fewer rooms, but the rooms themselves are bigger. These are my, I guess, officer quarters. As you can see, the same storage compartment, cryo chamber, and vent, but I've upgraded to having 2 chairs and an airlock leading to the walkway outside. This leads up into a massive hydrogen storage room. We'll get to that in a moment. Both of these ladder wells lead down to the lower quarters. This is a slightly larger lounge area. Also with the window looking out. Now we find ourselves back on the catwalk. As you can see, we're back in one of the rooms. Now we're going to go upstairs onto the final level. Alright, clearly I missed a couple of spots. More seating, in case you find yourself in an unfortunate place when you try to jump the ship, or when somebody else tries to jump the ship. This is more or less a maintenance passageway. There are hydrogen tanks that are directly pumped to hydrogen thrusters outside. Being that a bulk of the thrust for the ship comes from hydrogen thrusters, it only stands to reason that there's a lot of hydrogen storage. There are also batteries, solar panels. This ship is entirely capable of surviving everything this game can throw at it. It can be used to transport other ships, cargo, land vehicles. It can truly do any function that you need. It's a little bit impractical to build, but it can do its job. Whatever anybody would seem to do, or whatever anybody would require that job to be. I would demonstrate that this ship can in fact move and land on a planet. However, that would make for one long video. In any regard, this has been my ship, the Exploration. Thank you.